Okay, we're still fighting about the last segment, just so you know. And I'm still fighting. I'm furious.
Never go to break again.
All right, never. Serious concerns, though, over flying in Joe Biden's America. A number of scary close calls with planes almost smashing into each other on runways, and other dangerous situations, leaving passengers on the edge of their seats, some of them hitting the top of the plane. But that's another issue. The problem is so bad that the FAA held its first emergency safety summit in 14 years to address it. Fear not, though, our Secretary of Incompetence is on the case by pretending to be a pilot.
We have seen an uptick in runway incursions and close calls, something that we are not going to allow to turn into something worse. Before we come together, we'll never take for granted the extraordinary safety record of U.S. aviation, and we're going to continue doing everything that we can to ensure that the U.S. remains the gold standard when it comes to aviation safety.
And this isn't very reassuring. Republicans are ripping Joe Biden for pushing a guy to run the Federal Aviation Administration who has absolutely no flying experience. Now, you know what? The truth is, Brian, that I think America is tired of people being selected for positions based on identity politics. Here's a guy who was in the Army, good for him, but he was on the ground, not in the air, okay? And he's never been a pilot. He's never been involved in any kind of aviation experience, and yet they want him to run the FAA at a time when nobody's on time and people are crashing into each other on the runways.
The problem is, if the Democrats don't buy the argument that he's not qualified, and he's not, especially compared to the other ones, he's got to get through because it's 51-49, and they have the advantage in the committee. It's going to go to the general floor, and he's going to get passed. But his name is Phil Washington. Sounds like a great guy, but he's the CEO of the Denver International Airport for a couple of months. That's it. And at a time in which we have way too many close calls that even Pete Buttigieg would admit, he's a little disturbed by it. It's not the time for a rookie at the FAA, but I would like to have somebody there. The other thing I thought that Pete Buttigieg said, I think one of the problems is we asked a lot of people to retire. They took the buyouts, and he goes, we have kind of a rust like the whole flying things.
Yeah.
The pandemic, we're a little rusty. 1 year we get rusty? We're not good at flying anymore? We should all get helmets and just hope for the best?
Or get some kind of pad for your head. Jesse, what about the fact that, this guy Buttigieg, he says we want to continue to raise the bar so our aviation system remains the gold standard in aviation. Is he stupid?
Yeah, he's dumb, and everything he touches dies. Look what happened with shipping. Look what happened with trains, and now he's messing with the planes. You don't mess with the planes. I see the guy in the cockpit. First thing I think of is a joke. Second thing I think of is another joke. Third thing I think of is that plane's going down, and it's going down hard, and that's not a joke. This guy that they're nominating, Washington, he dropped out of high school. Then he ran the LA Transit Authority, and a whistleblower blew the whistle on him because he was taking kickbacks. And then he went over to be the CEO of the Denver airport. Do you know what the CEO of the airport does? They manage the Chick-fil-A.
And the restaurants.
They manage the restaurants. They have nothing to do with flying at all. And now he's going to be in charge of all the planes not crashing into each other. I think we could do better.
Why is this administration, Harold, putting ideology before the American people? Us.
Well, I'm not sure that I'm settled on that view that that's what they're doing. I think a couple things. I, like everybody, am concerned that for years, I was in Congress from 96 to 2006, and there were things we should have been doing to fund the FAA then and to help modernize their infrastructure, be it the way we train air traffic controllers, to the equipment that they use, to the systems that the technology that they use, and we should upgrade all of that. And we normally wait in government until there's a catastrophe to do it. Two, I don't know Phil Washington. I know he served almost 25 years in the United States Army, and the things that you shared there, Jesse, I didn't know those things.
You don't know a lot.
I didn't know these. I didn't know those things about him. But I do think it's important. You go before a committee and they ask you probing questions. What I saw, unfortunately, in his situation was that it was GOP pilots. At least I did read the fact sheet this time.
Yeah.
I read them all the time. I think y'all get better information, or more information than I do, at least different. You get only GOP pilots and the GOP senators have raised questions, and they have every right to raise questions, and he has every right to provide answers. I do hope that if they can't come to consensus and they can't pass him, that they do nominate someone who can get in that position, because we need people in that position. Now, people say about qualifications. James Baker, in my estimate, is one of the great statesmen this country has ever had, as Secretary of State, Secretary of Treasury. Now, I'm not sure he was qualified for all those jobs, but he had a set of values, he had a sense of the job, and he knew how to lead. So if this guy knows how to lead, in 25 years in the military, to me, is a metaphor and is a sense that maybe he does know how to lead in some ways, rising to the rank of major. But if he can't do it, if he doesn't have the votes, they should put someone else in the job.
But,
We need an FAA
25 years,
administrator.
25
Exactly.
years
I don't
in the
know.
military is an
He
indication
couldn't
he could
answer a single
lead.
question.
Then why is he running Chick-fil-A at the airport?
He's not running Chick-fil-A at the airport. He's the CEO
Okay.
of the
No.
airport.
Kennedy.
I've spent a lot of time at the Denver International Airport. It's a great airport. They have
Yeah.
a wonderful United Club. I want to give them a big shout out.
Somebody's
So
got a
well
lot of
done
miles.
there. But Jesse's right. Don't mess with the planes. You know, we cannot have tragedies. We've had so many near misses, so many near collisions on airport runways, and planes essentially dropping out of the sky. We're very lucky that the pilots were competent enough to bring them back up before they crashed into the ocean. Severe turbulence. A lot of this does go on the shoulders of Pete Buttigieg because we don't have an FAA administrator right now. And can someone in this administration please have experience? To your point, you don't have to have this specific experience, but you certainly need competence. And there is a dearth of that in this administration right now. Between the vice president, the Secretary of Transportation, the Secretary of Energy. She was just saying, like, China is a model for green energy, and they're amazing. It's like, maybe pump your brakes on that one. We need leadership, and we're not getting it.
But that I had a magic wand, that we could have more oil. Remember that one?
And the overlaughing?
Yes, laughing is a part of the exercise.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.